Sir.
So sorry for the interruption here, power gone. So that's why it's disconnected. So first thing is general aptitude is compulsory paper. So there will be 15 marks for the general aptitude and 15 more marks for the engineering mathematics. So total 30 marks, remaining 70 you have to opt any two subjects from the remaining. Fluid mechanics, material science, solid mechanics, thermodynamics, polymer science and engineering and food technology. So out of these six subjects, just you have to select any two subjects, just you have to concern your concerned department, then you will come to know which subjects will be easy. So otherwise there will be Prerana coordinators from each department. One coordinator is there, just to contact them, then they will tell, they will suggest which and all will be helpful for you and which subjects will be easy for you people. So before going to next slide, so just I want to know how many students are there and who and all attending this program. So I'll call the names just to enable your video and tell me attendance. Prithvi C from ECE department. Am I audible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Prithvi C absent. Mamata BC. Sucharita Y. Varun P.
Present, sir.
Present, sir.
Varun P. Sucharita is present. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Roja Parmeshwar.
Present, sir.
Arshita.
Present, sir.
Manohar.
Present, sir.
Vasant. Manisha MN. Tejas U. Ankita M. Nikhil Kumar D. Tribali. Anybody is there? Tribali from Tribali.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Meghana IL. Any other?
Shankar Chavan.
Shankar Chauhan. Next from CSE. Divya.
Good afternoon, sir.
Divya Sia.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Lakshmi MS. Praveen C. Baby from Civil.
Sir.
One by one, tell your name better instead of calling all the names, because so many names are there from Civil.
Omkar 176079.
Omkar
079, sir.
079. Okay. Next.
Sir, Pavana 084.
Repeat once.
Pavana 084.
084. Okay. Next.
Pawan Kalyan 083, sir.
083. Okay. Next.
Sir, Lalita Manpui.
Lalita, what's your USN?
122.
122. Okay.
Sushman Sri 120.
120. Masri. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Next. This much only. Lalita, Sushma Sri, Pavana, Pavan Kalyan, Omkar. Only these many from Civil. Right? From mechanical, anybody?
Sir, Ranjit. Sir.
Ranjit from mechanical, Ranjit V. Okay.
Yes.
Next,
Vignesh, sir.
Vignesh Kumar. 121, right? You said?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Next,
Sir, R. Sujay.
R. Sujay. Sujay R. 75.
Yes, sir.
Next,
Sandeep M, sir. 88.
Sandeep M. Yeah. Only 4 students from mechanical. One is Vignesh, Sujay, Sandeep, and Ranjit.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So come to the point. So next thing, so let's see what is this XE Engineering Sciences. How it will be
Sir, from triple E or computers.
triple E. Triple E already told na Shankar Chauhan, Meghana IL,
Jagdish, sir.
Jagdish. Okay. Anybody else? So engineering mathematics XCEA. So let's see what is this subject, what and all concepts are there in this one. So this is the syllabus for your engineering mathematics XCEA. So I told already there will be 15 marks for this subject for engineering mathematics. There will be 15 marks. So just to see these concepts, linear algebra 1 module, section 2 calculus, and then section 3 vector calculus, section 4 is complex variables, section 5 ordinary differential equations, section 6 partial differential equations, section 7 probability and statistics, and section 8 numerical methods. So just by adding or going through these module names, you will come to know you already studied almost all concepts, almost all modules you studied, but in that module you may not go through some concepts, it may left out from the syllabus. So I'll mention that thing also, what and all new concepts are there whichever are not in your syllabus. So first one, linear algebra. So in this one, so it includes both your PU syllabus as well as some concepts from the engineering mathematics also. So algebra of matrices, this thing you already studied in +2, and inverse and rank of a matrix, this thing also you are studied in +2. System of linear equations, this thing system of linear equations you studied in, I think even in +2 as well as in engineering mathematics. First semester itself you are studied system of linear equations. So system of linear equations means we can express that one in terms of matrices. After expressing that in terms of matrices, you can find out the solution by using either Gauss-Seidel method, Gauss elimination method, Gauss-Jordan method. So many methods are there. So I will tell, so they are based on this, how they will ask the questions, how they will frame the questions, and what and all important concepts. So from each module, what you have to prepare more or what you have to focus more, that thing also I will mention. And symmetric and skew symmetric and orthogonal matrices. So after that, determinants, eigenvalues, eigenvectors, diagonalization of a matrices, Cayley-Hamilton theorem. So out of these concepts, so just I will mention what and all important. So this one, inverse of a matrix, this is very important. So based on this one, they may ask one question. And rank of a matrix. So based on rank, so many shortcuts method are there to find out the rank of a matrix. Or by using the rank of a matrix, you can judge how many solutions will exist for the given system of simultaneous linear equations. That thing also you can judge by rank of a matrix. That's why this rank of a matrix is very important concept. So that includes in system of linear equations also. Symmetric and skew symmetric. Sometimes they may ask from symmetric and skew symmetric matrices. So orthogonal matrices and determinant. This is also one of the tool or one of the best tool to find out the solution of system of linear equations. So actually this arises from while solving the system of linear equations only, determinants. After that, one more important concept is eigenvalues and eigenvectors. So by listening these words, you might have felt, so these are already, you are already familiar with these concepts. So only thing is, you know how to prepare for the SC exam. So now the main thing is how it will be. So preparing for GATE exam, how it will be different from the preparing for SC exam. So once if you come to know that difference, and if you put effort, then you can definitely get success. So that thing will be in your hand. If how much effort you will put, so that much you can get success. And here one more thing is, so only minimum eligibility is there. After that, how much more marks, how many more marks rank, if it is rank is good, then you will get the good opportunities. Passing is not a big thing. So even though if you are passing with low rank, means it will be no use. So that's why you have to concentrate more. If you are getting good ranks, then only it will be helpful. So in SC exam, sometimes students will feel just if you are passing, that's enough. Let's see in next semester like that. But here it will not work like that. You have to put more effort. You have to gone through each concept. So then only you will come to know. So next one, second module is calculus. So here functions of single variable, that is limit, continuity, differentiability, mean value theorems, indeterminate forms and L'Hospital's rules. This thing you already studied. So limit, continuity, differentiability, mean value theorems, indeterminate forms and L'Hospital's rule. You are already studied in +2. With that, maxima and minima also you are studied in how to find out the maxima and minima of a function by using derivatives. That thing also you are studied in +2. And Taylor's theorem. Taylor's theorem means that is the series expansion of a function. I think that one also you studied, Taylor's theorem and Maclaurin's theorem. Next, fundamental theorem and mean value theorem. So maybe you might not, I think you are not familiar with these concepts, fundamental theorem and mean value theorems. So these two topics are new to you people. And in integral calculus, you know how to evaluate the definite and improper integrals. You are already studied in +2 integration and what are the methods to find out the evaluate the integrals. After that, while in second semester, I think for you people, beta and gamma functions are you studied. So those are the beta and gamma functions are the two some important functions. We can use those functions to find out the evaluate the integral. So and then applications of definite integrals to evaluate areas and volumes. Just if you know how to evaluate the integrals, means definitely you can use those methods to find out the areas and volumes. So by remembering the area formula and volume formula in terms of integrals. So next one, function of two variables, limit, continuity, partial, limit, continuity. So these two concepts you may not aware. So for the two variables, because directly in engineering science, they will.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I think slide is not working, sir.
Not working.
Like you're showing the syllabus in slide, right, sir?
Yeah.
It's not coming, sir. Yeah,
Is it
yeah,
coming?
now it's coming. Now it's
coming, sir.
Okay.
Sir, one more doubt, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, what is the difference between GATE and GATE XE, sir?
That thing I'll tell. In next slide, I'll tell.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So in functions of two variables, directly in engineering mathematics, they will start with the partial derivative. That's why you may not aware about limit and continuity for the function of two variables, but it is similar to function of one variable. If you are thorough with the limits and continuity in function of one variable, means that thing you can extend it to a function of two variables also. Directional derivatives you are already studied. Total derivative, you know how to find out the total derivative when the function is a function of more than one variable. Tangent plane, normal line, and you know how to find out the maxima and minima of a function of two variables. So this maxima and minima will applicable only for the function of two variables, not more than that. If you want to find out for more than function of two variables, means it's very difficult to find out it. So next one is method of Lagrange multipliers. Actually for your syllabus earlier it was not there, Lagrange multipliers. So have you studied this one, Lagrange multipliers, anybody? Because actually they included now this one, Lagrange multiplier. Earlier it was not there. So that's why I'm asking. So anybody 5th semester students are here? Anybody? No, I think no. So that means you are not aware this Lagrange multipliers also. And you are aware about double and triple integrals, and you know how to evaluate the double and triple integrals rules and everything you know. And their applications also you are studied in second semester itself. And sequence and series. Earlier it was not there in engineering syllabus, in our college syllabus, but they included this one also, sequence and series now. So, but you are aware about Fourier series, half range, sine and cosine series. So next one is vector calculus. You studied everything in this module: gradient, divergence, curl, surface integrals, Green's theorem, Stokes theorem, Gauss divergence theorem, everything you studied in engineering. So next one, complex variable. Here also you studied everything. So nothing new concepts are there in this module. First one, analytic function, you know, CR equations. These are the necessary conditions for a function to be analytic. Line integral, you know how to evaluate the line integral for a complex valued function. After that, Cauchy's integral theorem. So that is nothing but if the function is analytic inside and undefined. So based on theorem, we'll conclude that is Cauchy's integral theorem and integral formula, that also you studied. So Taylor series and Laurent series, these are the power series. We can express complex valued function in terms of series, that is nothing but Taylor series and Laurent series. This also you are aware. And residue theorem, this is the one of the important concept, residue theorem. We can use this one to find out the solution, or find out that to evaluate the integrals or complex integrals or improper integrals, we will use this residue theorem. This is the very important technique, this residue theorem, and its applications. Applications means just finding the potential function and the stream function. So that thing you also you are aware. So next one is ordinary differential equation. In this also, I think nothing is new for you people. You know first order equations, linear and non-linear you studied in +2, and higher order linear differential equations you studied in second semester with constant coefficients. And with variable coefficients means what is that, Cauchy's differential equation and Legendre differential equations. So those two will come under the variable coefficients. That also you are studied in the second semester. Next, method of variation of parameters. This is this method of variation of parameters you can apply for any type of functions. This is also one of the best technique. And then Cauchy's Euler equation, power series solutions, Legendre polynomials, Bessel's functions of the first kind. I think you are not aware about these Bessel functions because earlier it was not there. So, but now 2 years back they introduced, but once again they removed this one, Bessel's function and Legendre functions. Next is partial differential equations, classification of second order linear partial differential equations, method of separation of variables, Laplace equation. In this module, everything you are aware. You are familiar with each and every concept. Solution of one-dimensional heat wave equation, two-dimensional Laplace equation, everything you are aware. So next one, probability and statistics. In fourth semester, you are studied probability and statistics. So Bayes' theorem, you are not aware because they will directly start with the discrete and continuous random variables in your syllabus. So in discrete, you studied binomial, Poisson, and in continuous, exponential as well as normal you studied, but here there is no normal exponential distribution. Only thing is normal distribution. Correlation and linear regression. I think you are not, in third semester you studied this one, correlation and linear regression. So last one is, this is the very easiest module because, so only thing is if you remember the formula, then you can do it easily in numerical methods. In other things, you have to thorough with the concepts in all different manner or in all different angles you have to think. But in numerical methods, it's not like that. So just if you remember the formulas, means if they mentioned or even if they are not mentioning, whatever you will come to know. Once if you studied numerical methods, you will come to know which is the best method to find out the solution of any differential equations. So by using that method, so RK method they mentioned, that is the very best method. So that thing you can apply in case of any linear or algebraic or transcendental equations are there. If you want to find out the solutions, means you can apply the Newton-Raphson method, Newton integration method, what's that? And one more Lagrange interpolation is there, but that one is not here. So that methods you can apply, and you know how to evaluate the integrals by numerical methods. That is the Simpson's 1/3 rule, trapezoidal rule, Gaussian, curvature. So these are the few rules you will use to find out the solution of the while evaluating the integrals, you will use these numerical methods. One minute. Let's see what's the scope of this GATE engineering science. So how it will be different from GATE exam, I'll tell later. So first let's see the scope of this GATE engineering science. I have 5 minutes of one clip. Just to listen that one, then you will come to know how it will be helpful for you people.
Welcome to Joseph Academy. In this video, you will see what is the usage of writing engineering sciences GATE paper. So many people are now very curious because GATE committee has allowed us to choose two papers as an optional one. So one is primary and another is secondary. And the secondary we have this engineering sciences paper. Many people are skeptical. What is the use? Will there be any use for me while writing engineering sciences paper because it has only one subject. So in this
Audible guys earlier?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll play the video.
Welcome to Joseph Academy. In this video, we will see what is the usage of writing engineering sciences GATE paper. So many people are now very curious because GATE committee has allowed us to choose two papers as an optional one. So one is primary and another is secondary. And the secondary we have this engineering sciences paper. Many people are skeptical. What is the use? Will there be any use for me while writing engineering sciences paper because it has only one subject. So in this, if you could see, will it be useful for a job, will it be useful for higher studies, and all those are we seeing in this particular video, if you could see. Now, what is the need to write English sciences paper? So for the people who are out of the stream, like they are not related to the stream, they do mechatronics, there will be some other subjects in which you can't go ahead with the GATE paper, right? So for those students, you can choose engineering sciences and choose the rest of the things which is following up actually. So for the people who are out of stream, not in the major coaching, could choose this particular engineering sciences. Next is that
No, sir, we are not able to hear, sir.
Design. So now,
It's not audible.
No, sir, no, sir. The video.
The voice is unclear, sir.
Voice is unclear. Okay. Now just to check.
two subjects, you will be able to gain an admission inside IIT. You could get a
So the voice is not clear, sir.
Voice is not clear. Huh? Okay, what can I do? 1 minute, share computer sound. Now you check. Is it clear now?
So your voice is clear, sir, but the video what you're playing.
Okay, that's
voice is
really
not
important
disturbing.
thing which we all need to know. Now we'll see the brochure regarding the same. Now they have said that they have given general aptitude 15 marks, engineering mathematics compulsory 15 marks, and if you could see 30 marks as covered. They have said any two of XE sections B to H. So from B to H, I'll show you what is B to H. So from B to H, you'll have to choose two, which has about fluid mechanics, solid mechanics, thermodynamics, food technology, polymer, and many subjects are there. I will be able to show you that. It's not at all a great deal. Now if you could see, choose two papers, prepare for that, and you will be able to score 70 marks, 35 from two sections, 15 marks from mathematics and 15 marks from general aptitude paper. So this is what engineering sciences is all about. If you want to go for higher studies, you could really give a go at engineering sciences paper. So we were not aware of this till date, right? So you utilize this opportunity and you could just prepare for two subjects, get an IITN tag and go to whatever job you wish for, whatever the dream job you have. Okay, if you have more doubts, guys, let me know. And if you want to know what is B to H, B to H, from B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So from atmospheric and oceanic sciences, food technology, polymer sciences, thermodynamics, solid mechanics, material science, fluid mechanics, you could choose two among these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 papers. Among the 7 papers, choose two and start writing it. And even in the exam time, you could change the concepts, right? You are prepared to answer fluid mechanics and material sciences, and you go inside and you find material sciences paper very hard. You can even change it to solid mechanics while writing. Okay, so this is one of the advantages they give us. So this is all about engineering sciences paper. If you have any doubts, comment it out in the comment section. I would love to answer all of your queries. And thank you, students. So for the people who are wishing to go for higher studies, just have this as a backup. Thank you. Welcome to Turbulent Academy. In this video, we will see what
It's proper, sir. Play, sir.
Video. How much you heard that I don't know. So just GATE XE means it's consisting of 8 papers. Earlier I told, right? So in that one, 2 compulsory what's that? Compulsory papers will be there. So one is aptitude 15 marks and one more engineering mathematics, and remaining from 6 papers you have to opt only to any two, whatever related to your engineering, whatever you studied subjects. By saying that thing, you have to opt any 2 papers. So the main difference between GATE and GATE XE is, so GATE exam will, if you applied for GATE exam, means their branch wise will be separate, will be there. Mechanical engineering one GATE exam will be there, electrical one will be there, EC one will be there, and IS, CS, like that. For every branches, one paper will be there, separate GATE exam will be there. So this is engineering sciences means, so this thing, all branch students, they can take this GATE XE exam. So the main use of taking GATE XE is, in case if you are interested in higher studies, means for example, what's that, MTech, if you want to do MTech or any higher studies, and if you are interested to do in some named institute like IIT's or IISc like that, in that case, if you have to go through this GATE XE exam. So if you cleared this exam with the good ranks, means then they only will give appointment letter to you to join their institute. Okay, so that is the main difference. GATE means it will be only for PSU, public service exams. So for that one, it will help. So in case if you are interested in higher studies, means then you have to opt for the GATE XE exams. Is it clear?
Sir, can we write both, sir, like GATE and GATE XA?
Yeah, you can write, no problem. But the thing is, GATE XE means he mentioned in video, whether it is clear to you or not, I don't know. So the main thing is GATE exam little bit difficult compared to GATE XE. This is little bit easy compared to GATE exam. That's why, in case if you are interested to do any higher studies, means you can opt this one, GATE XE exam. Otherwise, if you want to write to,
Can't we get in?
yes.
So can't we get in through any government jobs through this GATE XE, sir?
GATE XE will not get, only for entrance. So this will be like if you want to do higher studies, then you'll get XE, GATE XE will be helpful. In case if you want
Because it's not useful for government jobs.
government job, means you have to opt GATE exam.
Okay, sir.
Okay, is it clear?
Sir, like we can write both exams, no, sir?
Yeah, you
Will
can
be
write, no
at a
problem.
time or what, sir?
I think at a time, so you have to see, once if they given circular, means that time you have to see if it is in circular notification itself, they will mention. So in case to different dates are there, means you can write, no problem.
Okay, sir, and in this one, XE, like if you take two subjects, then out of 100, they'll 70 marks only regarding the two subjects, sir.
Yeah, 70 marks, which subject, which two subjects you are going to opt from that 70 marks. Remaining 30 will be engineering, mathematics and aptitude.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
And this program is for GATE or GATE XE, sir?
So actually, ma'am told me to cover the GATE XE. That's why even I told whatever the syllabus, that is GATE XE. Because so for GATE exam means even mathematics also little bit difference will be there. So for example, if you come into IS or CS students, means there it will be, what's that, discrete mathematics will be there, one paper in engineering mathematics itself. So, but for you people, almost this GATE XE syllabus, engineering mathematics syllabus is there for mechanical, ECE and EEE civil students. This will be same.
Sir?
So whatever engineering mathematics, whatever we are going to discuss, the same thing will be same for GATE exam also. GATE XE syllabus, engineering mathematics syllabus, same for mechanical and civil, ECE, EEE. For them it will be same almost. But for CS and IS, it will be little bit different. Means discrete mathematics will be there, additional subject in engineering mathematics itself. Okay. For them also few concepts will be there, definitely. Is it clear?
Aptitude also will be same.
Aptitude will be same. There is no difference for that in that. Move on to next slide.
Okay, sir.
So first module or first section in this GATE XE exam, engineering sciences, engineering mathematics is linear algebra. So in that one, matrices, that is one important concept. Anybody, can you tell, let me know what are matrices? Anybody? Because you are already studied. And
Rows and columns, sir.
Rows and columns.
The numbers are expressed in rows and columns.
So arrangement of numbers or elements in a rows and columns is nothing but matrices, right? Just see the definition. So it is a collection of elements arranged in rows and columns. So it is a combination of linear equations. We know we can express system of linear equations in terms of matrices. and we can find out the solution also. Like that also you can define. And we know the representation of these things, either you have to put open brackets at both the ends, or you have to put square brackets. So that is the representation of matrices. So I have one notes. Due to time consistent, I am not able to prepare slides only. That's why I have written notes. Just I scanned and put it as PDF. So this matrix, a matrix is a rectangular arrangement of numbers or elements enclosed within brackets. It is denoted by, we used to denote matrices by capital letters, or in IJ form means A, small a, IJ. In prefix you have to write IJ, M cross N. So we will read it as M by N. So here M will indicate the number of rows and N will indicate the number of columns. So and the range for I is 1 less than or equal to I, which is less than or equal to M. That is, I is indicating the number of rows and N is indicating the number of columns. So that means the range is 1 less than or equal to J, which is less than or equal to N. So next, if all the elements of a matrix are belong to a real field of reals, then we can say that, so it is a real matrix. Otherwise, if any elements are complex numbers are there, means then we call it as complex matrix. So the horizontal lines, so in horizontal lines we call it as rows, and vertical lines we call it as columns. So in this one, M by N, already I told, M will indicate the number of rows, and N denotes the number of columns. So this is the general representation of a matrix. Any order we can represent like this, because we don't know the M and N value. So this is general representation, A11, A12, A1N. So that is first row, first column element is A11. First row, second column element is A12.
Sir, slide is once again not working.
Okay, 1 minute. I will. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So A1N will indicate the element in the position first row, nth column. So similarly, A21 means second row, first column, position element. So A22 means second row, second column, like that. A2N is second row, nth column element. So AMN means mth row, nth column element. So there are so many types of matrices are there. So based on these types of matrices also, one compulsory question will come. You should remember, at least no need to remember the exact definition. In your own way, if you remember what are types of matrices are there, at least if you remembered in your own way, then you can attempt the question easily. So first one is row matrix. So the name itself indicating, so it should have only one row. Then we call that, if the matrix, any matrix, if it is having only one row, and number of columns, it may be anything. It may be 2, 3, 5, number of columns, there is no restriction, but the restriction is it should have only one row. Then we call it as row matrix. So same thing, column matrix. Column matrix means, so here you are going to restrict to column, only one column should be there. Number of rows, it may be anything. So it may be 2, 3, anything. Any number of rows you can add. So but column should be one. So just to see 1, 2, 3, only one column, and 1, 2, 3, 3 rows. That is 3 by 1 matrix. So here 2, 3, 7, 9, only one row, 4 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is 1 by 4 matrix. So next one is null matrix. So null matrix means, you know, so null means 0. If all the elements are zeros, then we call that matrix as null matrix. So next important type is square matrix. So you already know what is the square. Square means all sides should be the same. So that means a matrix is said to be square matrix if the number of columns and number of rows should be same. Then we call that matrix as square matrix. So that is, so example 1, first one is 2 by 2 matrix, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here number of rows are 2 and number of columns are 2. So 2 by 2. So both are equal. So that's why we call this matrix as square matrix. So in the second one also, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 4, 6, 5. So number of rows are 3, number of columns are 3. Both are same. That's why we call this one as square matrix. So in general, we can indicate it by Aij n cross n. N cross n. Both rows, number of rows and number of columns should be same. Next one, diagonal matrix. A square matrix is called diagonal matrix if all its diagonal, non-diagonal elements are 0. So non-diagonal means, so this is the diagonal. This one, what's that? 1, 2, 5. So these are the diagonal elements, principal diagonal. So and remaining elements, whatever will be there. So these elements are nothing but principal diagonal elements. So remaining elements we call it as non-diagonal elements. So apart from these principal diagonal elements, all remaining elements should be 0. Then we call that matrix as diagonal matrix. Is it clear? Diagonal matrix definition? Am I audible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear? The definition of diagonal matrix?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So next one. So we can represent this one in terms of what is that? IJK form means what we can write means we can write this one as Aij of n cross n. So if it is square matrix, it should be square matrix. That is, the order should be n cross n. So in that one, diagonal matrix means the position 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. So that means whenever I is equals to j, that time it may be 0 or non-zero. But whenever I is not equals to j, apart from the principal diagonal, it should be 0. That is, A is equals to 0 for all I not equals to j. When I is not equals to j, the element should be 0. Then we call that matrix as diagonal matrix. So now scalar matrix. So a square matrix A equals Aij is said to be a scalar matrix if all its non-diagonal elements are 0 and all its diagonal elements are equal. So scalar matrix is what? All non-diagonal elements should be 0 and all diagonal elements should be equal. So can we define the scalar matrix in terms of diagonal matrix? Is it possible to define? So because here whatever I written the definition, that is in terms of square matrix. So now by using diagonal matrix, can we define the scalar matrix? Anybody? So just both definitions are visible. So just by going through those two definitions, so just let me know how we can define the scalar matrix in terms of diagonal matrix. So because whatever I defined here in terms of square matrix, I defined the scalar matrix.
The diagonal element should be similar, sir.
Yeah, a diagonal matrix is said to be scalar matrix when diagonal elements are same. So like that also you can define, right? So that means we can conclude. So sometimes they may, based on statements, they may ask questions like this. So which of the following statements are true or false, right? So for example, if they ask which of the following statements are true, all diagonal elements are scalar matrix. Second one, all scalar matrices are diagonal matrix. Third one, all square matrices are diagonal matrix. All square matrices are scalar matrix. So which one you will opt? If you want, I'll repeat the options.
All scalar matrices are diagonal.
Yes, all scalar matrices are diagonal. So like that, if you are linking diagonal to scalar matrix, then you can select the option easily. Here no need to remember exact definition. At least if you understood what's that indicating, that thing if you understood also, it's more than enough. So this one in terms of IJ form, we can write it as like this: A is equals 0 when I is not equals to j. That is, non-diagonal element should be 0 and diagonal element should be equal. That is k. When I equals to j, it should be equal to k. So that's why that one we call it as scalar matrix. So next one is unitar identity matrix. This one we are going to use so many times while solving the problems. If you want to find out the eigenvalues, eigenvectors anywhere, you will use so many times this one, unitar identity matrix. So the definition is a diagonal matrix is called a unit matrix if all the diagonal elements are 1. So now can you define this one in terms of diagonal and scalar matrix? Anybody? in terms of diagonal and scalar matrix. Anybody, can you define in terms of scalar and square matrix?
When the diagonal is unity, sir.
A diagonal matrix is said to be unit matrix if all the diagonal elements are unity. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, exactly. Next, in terms of scalar,
That all diagonals are equal, sir.
am I audible, guys, now? Hello? Am I audible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me in terms of scalar matrix, somebody told actually power once again gone. Yes, anybody? In terms of scalar matrix, somebody told only. Yes.
Sir, when all the diagonals are equal with respect to scalar, no, sir.
Yeah, in terms of scalar matrix, if you are defining means you should use the word scalar. A scalar matrix is said to be unit matrix when all elements are equal. So because in scalar matrix means you know already it is diagonal matrix, square matrix in which all diagonal elements are same. So the same element should be unity. Then we can say that it is unit matrix or identity matrix. Is it clear these measures? Because so many sometimes they will ask questions based on this. Which one diagonal matrix and based on scalar matrix and based on identity matrix. So there will be some standard results for these three matrices. So based on results, they will ask direct questions. If you remember that thing, you can answer it directly. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll move on to next one. So next is transpose of a matrix. So transpose means just by interchanging rows into columns or columns into rows. Only one way you have to do. So just rows you have to write it as columns. All rows you have to write it as columns. For example, so just you see this example. So is it clear? Screen is visible for you people?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here consider 2 by 2 matrix. A equals 2, 3, 0, 1. So here row elements are 2, 3. First row elements are 2, 3. And second row elements are 0, 1. So if you want to write the transpose of this one means you have to write first row elements. Just I will consider the first row elements 2, 3. And I will write those elements in column wise. That is 2, 3. Rows elements I'm going to write in terms of columns. So second row elements are 0, 1. So these things you have to write in the second column. So that is then the obtained matrix we will call it as transpose of a matrix. The notation for transpose of a matrix is A dash or A transpose. A dash or A transpose. So the notation for the transpose of a matrix is A dash or A transpose. Just you have to write in the power dash or capital T. So that will indicate the transpose of a matrix. So just what you can remember for this transpose of a matrix means just writing rows in terms of columns. That much if you remember for exam means it's more than enough. So one thing, so here for the competitive exams, no need to remember exact definition. So just you have to remember some few results and you have to try to understand in your own way. Like that you have to prepare, because if you are going to mug up or buy anything means it will be vast, what's that, the syllabus will be there. You can't remember everything exactly. That's why you should try to understand in your own way, then it will be helpful. So one more not written. So if you have 3 by 3 matrix also, the same procedure you have to apply. So just you have to write the first row elements in terms of first column, second row elements, second column, third row elements, third column. So in general, if you considered A equals Aij of m by n matrix means, so the transpose matrix we can write it as Aji of order n by m. In case if you are not considered any square matrix means, if m by n, so if m is not equal to n means it's not a square matrix. So in that case, just you have to interchange this prefixes ij. So first you have to write j, that is Aji. So where the order will become n by m. So next one is symmetric matrix. You would have observed in the syllabus itself, they mentioned symmetric matrix, skew symmetric matrix, and orthogonal matrix. That's why it's this one also very important. So symmetric matrix means based on transpose matrix, we will define the symmetric matrix. A matrix or a square matrix is said to be symmetric if its ijth element, the position, ijth position element should be equals to the jith position element in the matrix. Then we say that the matrix is symmetric matrix. So for example, just to consider this one, ijth element means you may consider equal also. A11. What is the element A11? If you are writing this one as in terms of ij form, this will become 1 minute. A11 position, right? This is A11 position. This is A12 position. This is A13 position. Is it right? So like that, this position is A21, A22, A23, A31, A32, A33. Is it clear? Guys, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So online, at least you should respond in between. Otherwise, sometimes due to network issues, if it is not audible means I'll not come to know. That's why you should respond in between.
Okay, sir.
So now A11, if you take transpose of this matrix means what will be the first position?
A only, sir.
A11, that is right, A11. So A12, so according to definition, symmetric matrix, after taking the transpose, it should be, the transpose matrix should be equals to the given matrix or considered matrix. Then we say that the matrix is symmetric matrix. So if you change this one, rows into columns means once again it will come in transpose matrix AHG and then HBF, GFC. In simple manner, we can remember this one means, if you fold the matrix about the principal diagonal, this is the principal diagonal. If you fold the matrix about the principal diagonal, the overlapping elements will become, this will overlap with this element. Overlap with this element, right? And this element will overlap with this element. The overlapping element should be same. Then we can say that the matrix is symmetric matrix. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So similarly, consider next example. 2, 3, 4, 3, 1, minus 2, 4, minus 2, 0. So 2, 1, A21 position is equals to A12. This is A21, this is A12. A31, this is the A31 and this is the A13. So these two are same, and A32 is equals to A23. So you should not see the diagonal elements. So just you have to see the non-diagonal elements. The non-diagonal elements, if you fold about the principal diagonal means the overlapping element should be same. Then we can say that the matrix is symmetric matrix. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So next one is skew symmetric matrix. So skew symmetric matrix means this is similar to symmetric matrix, but the one more additional word is skew. Sometimes you might have used this skew word. So skew means opposite sign. So overlapping element should have opposite sign. So for example, if you fold this matrix over the principal diagonal means the overlapping elements are H with minus H, minus Z with Z, F with minus F. That is, the overlapping elements should have opposite signs. Then we call that matrix as skew symmetric matrix. That is, in simple manner, how we can define remember means, if the transpose of the given matrix, if it is equals to minus A is nothing but given matrix. So if it is equals to negative of the given matrix, then we can say that the matrix is skew symmetric matrix. Is it clear? Because
Yes, sir.
I'm going to solve some few problems. That's why if you understood these concepts, then it will be, you will feel questions, you will feel it as easy. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you people. That's why. Okay. Is it clear, this skew symmetric matrix?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next one is upper triangular matrix. And one more thing in what is that, skew symmetric matrix, all the diagonal elements should be 0. All the diagonal elements should be 0. This is very important. So if you remember this word, all the diagonal elements in a skew symmetric matrix are 0. That thing, if you remember some few questions based on determinants, you can answer it directly without checking anything. So that's why this thing also you should remember. The diagonal elements in a skew symmetric matrix always will be 0. Next one, upper triangular matrix. So upper triangular. So if you consider the matrix like this, I'll write the one triangle. One minute. So we can divide this square matrix into mainly 2 triangles. Okay, and one more, consider like this. Okay, so upper triangular matrix means above the principal diagonal, including principal diagonal, it should be non-zero. And below the principal diagonal element should be 0. So how we can remember means, if all the elements below the principal diagonal elements are 0, then we can say that the matrix is upper triangular matrix. And when you come into lower triangular matrix, above the principal diagonal elements, the non-diagonal elements should be 0. Then we can say that it is lower triangular matrix. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you have anybody, if you have doubts or any clarification, means you don't hesitate to ask.
Sir, show one. Okay, sir.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
This is this only example. So below principal diagonal means A22, A21 will come, A31, A32. So these are the principal diagonal elements. So 1, 4, 6. Above element should be non-zero, and below element should be 0. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Next, lower triangular matrix, just to observe here, the elements which are above the principal diagonal are 0. So then we call it as lower triangular matrix. So next one is orthogonal matrix. If the multiplication of any matrix with the transpose, so if it is A into A transpose Z is equals to identity matrix, equals to I, then we can say that the matrix is orthogonal matrix. The word orthogonal, you are already familiar with orthogonal. Orthogonal means it should intersect each other, but here it's not like that. The product of any matrix with its transpose matrix should be equals to identity matrix. Then we can say that the matrix is orthogonal matrix. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So next one, conjugate of a matrix. This one is not important for you people. Some only few times they will ask. So in case if it comes means I'll explain you that time. Next one is idempotent matrix. Have you heard this word, idempotent?
No, sir.
So idempotent means any element, if we want to say it is idempotent elements, means the multiplication of that element with element itself should be equals to element itself. That is, any element A equals to, A is an idempotent element of any set if A square should be equals to A. For example, if you consider set of real numbers, what is the value of 1 square?
1.
0
One
square?
only, sir. One only.
0 square?
0.
0, right? So that means if you consider set of reals means the only idempotent elements of a set of reals is 0 and 1. Apart from those two elements, any elements you may consider, all elements will not come out with the 1, right? So that's why we call 0 and 1 are the idempotent elements of the set of reals. So the same concept, if you want to define for the set of matrices, means just you have to consider one matrix and then A square. A square means, you know, A into A. Multiplication of matrices you are going to apply. A into A, if it is equals to A itself, then we call that matrix as idempotent matrix. For example, just to consider this matrix 2, minus 2, minus 4, minus 1, 3, 4, 1, minus 2, minus 3. Do you know how to multiply the matrices? Do you know? Will you
Yes,
try?
sir. Yes, sir.
Just find out the, just to consider this matrix as some A, okay, and multiply, find out A by A cross A into A, and tell me what matrix you will get. Do it yours, do it and tell me. So don't tell it directly, because I have mentioned it is example for idempotent matrix. By understanding the definition, you can write it, tell directly, but once if you check it, it will be good. That's why. So just to check it.
So it will be the same, sir.
Same matrix, right? So if you are going to find out A square means A cross A, so the matrix we will get it as same. So that's why. So such matrices, if any matrix which satisfies the equation A square equals A, that matrix, such matrix we call it as idempotent matrix. Is it clear now? Definition. So this thing also very important, idempotent matrix. Is it clear, or any doubts in this one, idempotent?
Clear, sir. Clear.
So next one is periodic matrix. Periodic matrix means, so after some period it should have some same value, same matrix itself. So then we call it as periodic matrix. So for example, if you considered a matrix, A is called a periodic matrix if A power k plus 1 equals A, where k is any positive integer. If k is the least positive integer for which A power k plus 1 equals A, then k is said to be the period of A, right? So if you consider, for example, if A power 4 equals A means, then we will say that A power A, the given matrix is a periodic matrix of period 3 plus 1, right? So periodic matrix, just to consider idempotent matrix and tell me what's the period of idempotent matrix, any idempotent matrix.
One.
Yes. So A square equals A means the value of K will be 1. So that means idempotent matrix is a periodic matrix of period 1. So every idempotent matrix, so like this also they can frame the questions. Every idempotent matrix are periodic matrix. So but all periodic matrices are not idempotent matrices. Is it clear?
Yes.
So next one is a matrix is said to be nilpotent if A power K equals 0. So for example, if they given one matrix, some A equals 1, 2, 3, 4, and if you are getting some A power 4 equals 0, so fourth power, that is A into A into A into A 4 times. So if you are getting it as 0 means, so then we call that is a nilpotent matrix of order 4. So like that, I consider general K here. If A power K equals 0, that is K equals 0 means you should end up with the null matrix. So where K is a positive integer. So such type of matrix exists means we will say that matrix is nilpotent matrix of order K. So for example, just to consider this one, AB, B square minus A square minus AB. So here A is a nilpotent matrix whose index is 2. Order or index is 2. So that means just to find out A square, if you find out the A square means then the matrix you will get, the obtained matrix will be nilpotent matrix. What is that? Null matrix. So A square equals to 0 means it will be a nilpotent matrix of index 2. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next one is involutory matrix. A matrix is called an involutory matrix. This involutory matrix is similar to idempotent matrix. In idempotent matrix, the element will be equals to the matrix power. A square will be equals to A. But in involutory matrix, the A square will be equals to identity matrix. So then we call it as involutory matrix. Best example is if you considered I identity matrix. So anybody can you tell I power 100 is what? Any identity matrix. Just to consider 2 by 2 matrix 1001. Can you find out I power 100?
It will be same only, no, sir?
It will be same. If you considered identity matrix means how many times you are going to multiply that one with the identity matrix itself, the matrix itself, you will come out with the same matrix. So that's why I square equals I. This is the best example for the involutory matrix. That is unit matrix is an involutory matrix. So what we can give statement for involutory matrix in terms of unit matrix means all unit matrices are involutory matrix. But converse not holds true. That is, there may be some involutory matrix which is not a unit matrix, right? Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Next one, equal matrices. So what are the conditions for saying two matrices are equal? So because you know how to say two numbers are equal, but in matrices, while coming to topic matrices, how will define equality between any two matrices? I will say
Here, some should be same.
some should be. How will
No, sir. No, sir.
no? How we can define?
Number of rows and columns should be equal.
Yes, one thing is number of rows and columns should be same. So if number of columns and rows, if in both the matrices, if they are same, can we say it is both are equal matrix?
No, even that inside data
Inside?
should
The elements also should be equal, right? So that they are the two conditions. One is they are of the same order. That is the number of rows and columns in both the matrices should be equal. And then the elements in the corresponding position, that is A11 should be equals to B11, A12 should be equals to B12, A13 should be equals to B13, A22 should be equals to B22, So like that, the corresponding position elements are also same. Then we can say that the given two matrices are equal. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next one is submatrix. This one is not needed that much for you people. So addition of matrices, addition of, so when the possibility of, so if you want to add the addition, to add two matrices means what and all necessary conditions should satisfy those two matrices, because you are already studied in C program. In that C program, you used to write addition of two matrices, transpose of the matrix, multiplication of matrices. You have written even program also, right? In first semester itself, first or second semester. Have you written? Have you written or not? C program.
Yeah, returns.
Yeah, what are the conditions for adding two matrices?
Order should be same, sir.
Yeah, order should be same. If you want to add any two matrices means they should be of same order. That is, just to consider A is a matrix of order m by n and B is also a matrix of order m by n. So then you can add those two matrices. So that means how we can add means just corresponding positions you have to add. A11 you have to add with B11. Then you will come out with the one more matrix, that is Cij C11. To get the position C11, you have to add A11 plus B11. C12 means A12 plus B12. C13 means A13 plus B13. Like that, corresponding positions you should add. The main thing is the matrices should be of same order. Then only you can add those two matrices. Is it clear?
Yes.
So next one is multiplication of matrices. So what is the conditions for multiplying two matrices? What is necessary conditions to satisfy those two matrices? Anybody? Yes. You are studied matrices. You know how to multiply the matrices.
Sir,
Yes.
that A11 into B11,
Yeah.
and again we will be adding the A11 into B11. Sorry, A12 into B12.
This is method. What you are telling, this is the method to multiply the matrices.
Yes,
What
sir.
necessary conditions? If you want to multiply any two matrices means it should satisfy, those two matrices should satisfy some conditions. That conditions I want first.
Number of columns should be equal to number of rows.
Number of columns of first or second matrix.
First,
The number of columns of first matrix should be equals to number of rows in
rows of second matrix.
second matrix. That is, the product of two matrices A and B is only possible if the number of columns in A, that is pre-multiplier, is equal to the number of rows in B, post-multiplier. If you are going to multiply A, B means the number of columns in first matrix should be equal to number of rows in second matrix. Then we can multiply those two matrices. And whatever some of one of your friend that he told A11 with the B11, A plus A12 into B12 plus A13 into B31. So like that you have to define, multiply the matrices. So just in terms of notation means, if you consider A is a matrix of order m by n, then you should consider B is a matrix of order n by p. So this should be the number of rows in second matrix should be equal to number of columns in the first matrix. Then only you can multiply the two matrices. So next, these are some few results based on transpose of a matrix. Just to go through these results once. You have gone through these results. A plus B whole transpose is A transpose plus B transpose. K A whole transpose is, so no need to apply for constant K, scalar it is. So K into A transpose. So next one is A transpose whole transpose. If you apply transpose to any matrix, then you will come out with the same matrix itself. A transpose whole transpose equals to A. So next one is AB whole transpose equals B transpose A transpose. And inverse of a transpose matrix can be written as inverse transpose of the inverse matrix. Inverse of a transpose matrix equals to transpose of the inverse matrix. These are the some few important results. Like this, you have to note down results. So then if you remember these results, then while solving the problems, you can implement these results in problems. So if you are preparing SE exam, means you will go either by taking any example, you will apply these results. Otherwise, proof will be there. But in competitive exam, not like that. So just by using these results, you have to conclude something like that. It will be there. So once if you gone through these some few problems, then you will come to know how you are going to implement these results in problems. Is it clear?
Yes.
Shall we have a quick review of those types of matrices? Anybody, can you one by one? So just to tell one name. So because if you remember the matrices, what is that meaning of those types of matrices, then only it will be helpful for you people to solve the questions. Otherwise, simply reading, you will feel it as bore. That's why at least if you remember little bit, then it will be helpful. Anybody, can you try to glance matrix name, type of matrix name and its meaning or definition? One by one, just to select any matrix, type of a matrix and its definition.
Sir, row matrix, sir.
Yeah.
Like it should have only one row, sir.
Yes, exactly.
And column matrix, it should have only one column, sir.
Yes, exactly.
And square matrix should be like number of rows should be equal to number of columns, sir.
Yes, right.
Unit matrix.
Unit matrix, yes. What's unit matrix?
The diagonal element should be unitary, sir.
The diagonal element should be units.
Unitary.
So
Then
it should be square matrix. You should tell a square matrix is said to be unit matrix if all diagonal elements are 0 and all non-diagonal elements are 0.
and null matrix is all rows and columns are 0, sir.
Yeah, all elements are 0, null matrix. Next.
Triangle matrix, there are two types, like upper and lower matrix. Like
yeah, upper triangular, lower triangular.
Upper triangle matrix, when A2i and A3i all 0 means that is upper matrix. Sir.
Yeah, below the principal diagonal element should be 0, then you call it as upper triangular matrix. Then lower triangular.
And if above means it is lower diagonal. Sir.
If above elements are 0, then we call it as lower triangular matrix. Next, anybody else? We have discussed almost more than 20 types.
So orthogonal matrix.
Yeah, orthogonal matrix.
A into A transpose will be into identity matrix.
Yeah, A into A transpose equals identity matrix is nothing but orthogonal matrix. Can you define a symmetric?
Symmetric matrix is like the transpose of that matrix will be the same as the given matrix.
Yeah, if A transpose equals A, then we say that symmetric matrix. If A transpose equals minus A, then we say that skew symmetric matrix.
Yes,
Apart from this, anything else?
Idempotent matrix. Sir.
Yeah, idempotent matrix.
A square should be like if we square the matrix, it should be the same. Sir.
Yeah, that is A square equals A, then we say that the matrix is idempotent matrix. Next. If you want, I will tell the names, type of matrix name. If you are not remembered exactly what means, because only once means it will be difficult. At least if you are remembered this much. Once if you gone through the notes means definitely you can remember all the types. If you want, I will mention the name. Can I mention?
Yes, sir.
Nilpotent matrix.
A to the power k plus 1 is equals to 0.
Yeah, a power k plus 1 equals 0. So then we say that the matrix is a nilpotent of order k. So next, involutory matrix.
A square is equal to 1.
A square equals I, then we say that the matrix is involutory matrix.
Involuntary.
Yeah, so this much if you remember, so we can move
So
to
what is the nilpotent matrix, sir?
nilpotent matrix. That is a power k plus 1 equals to 0, null matrix. Then the matrix is a nilpotent of order k. Okay.
Okay.
So next one topics, so few more concepts I'll discuss later on. We can go through the some few questions. So determinants. So you are already aware how to evaluate the determinants. So this is actually arises from the while eliminating the unknowns in the simultaneous linear equations. That time, so this determinant they define. So just you, this is the procedure. Just if you considered a1x plus b1 equals 0, a2x plus b2 equals 0. So from the first equation, what you can write x equals minus b1 by a1. Just you consider that the x equals minus b1 by a1 and substitute in the equation 2, then you will get a2 into minus b1 by a1 plus b2 equals 0. If you multiply these two means you will get a1 into b2 minus a2 b1 equals 0. So this is nothing but determinant of a 2 by 2 matrix. Is it right?
Yes, sir.
A1 b2 minus a2 b1. So just if you consider the matrix like this, so first you have to multiply these two, a1 into b2 minus opposite principal diagonal, that is minus a2 b1. So that is nothing but determinant of the 2 by 2 matrix. So similarly we can expand this one to 3 by 3 matrix. So if you are going to define a determinant for the 3 by 3 matrix means, so you have to consider the first how to evaluate means you have to check along which row or which column the number of zeros are more. That thing you have to consider and you have to evaluate. Then it will be easy to evaluate the determinants. So for example, if you know 0 elements are there, means just you will consider a11 position element. So a11 position element means you will leave the corresponding rows and column elements. First row, first column you will leave. For the remaining thing, you will apply the determinant. Is it right?
Yes.
So just to see here, if a1 is there means the determinant of this one. If you consider a1 means this row and this column you will leave. So for the remaining thing you will put the determinant. So the determinant of this one is b2 c3 minus b3 c2. So while coming into second position, you have to consider it as minus 1. So because so beyond that minors, the concept minors works. So minors means how to define means minus 1 power I plus j. Minus 1 power I plus j means I and j are nothing but position of an element. Position of an element. So both, so in a1 means both positions are 1 1. So 1 1 means it will become 1 plus 1. Minus 1 square is plus 1. So if you come into this position, minus 1 power I plus j. So here I is 1, j is 2. That means 1 plus 2. Minus 1 power 3 means this will become minus. So here plus, this is minus, plus, minus. Here plus, minus, plus. Is it clear? And you are already aware how to evaluate the determinants. So this is about minors and cofactors. Cofactors is nothing but just whatever you are going to neglect the corresponding rows and columns. For the remaining thing you are going to find the determinant, that is nothing but cofactor. So these are the few properties based on determinants. That determinant is defined only for square matrices. We can't define for non-square matrices. Next, the value of the determinant of upper triangular matrix is equal to the product of the elements along the principal diagonal. This is very important. The value of the determinant of upper triangular matrix is equal to the product of the elements along the principal diagonal. Without calculating anything, just you have to multiply the principal diagonal elements. That will nothing but the our required determinant of the upper triangular matrix. The same thing will applicable for even for lower triangular matrix also. Is it clear? The second result, this is very important. Is it clear, students?
No, sir. No, sir.
No, if you considered 1 minute, I'll write the matrix one upper triangle 2 by 2. I'll write, so then it will be easy for upper triangular, right? 1, 2, 0, 3. Is it upper triangular?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now find out the determinant of this one. Just you have to put determinant a1 into b2, that is 3 minus 0, right, which will be equals to 3. That is, the determinant of the upper triangular matrix is equals to product of the principal diagonal elements. Because it is simple one, you can do it easily. For example, if you considered some 3 by 3 matrix, 1, 2, 3. So this element should be 0. Sum once again 2, 1. This element should be 0. This element should be 0. This element, let it be 3. So just try to find the determinant
It's
of
like
this one.
upper triangle matrix, sir.
Upper triangular matrix I consider. So just to try to find out the determinant of this one by usual manner. I'll tell the tricks how to apply this result, second result. And tell me the final result, final value. What's the determinant value?
So 6.
6, right. So now if it is upper triangular matrix without calculating anything, so I'll tell how to use this result. Just what you have to do means, so 1 into 2 into 3, just you have to multiply the corresponding elements in the principal diagonal. No need to do anything. 1 into 2 into 3, which is equals to 6. Is it easy? So if you want to expand this one, means 1 into 2 into 3 minus 0 minus 2 into this element 0, this element 0 plus 3 into this element 0, this element 0. Instead of doing that one, so once if you come in to know if the given matrix is upper triangular matrix, without thinking in second way, you can just multiply the principal diagonal elements. That will become the required determinant of the given matrix. 1 into 2 into 3. Is it clear?
Yes.
Somebody asked. Who's that? Vignesh, I think you asked, right?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, is it clear to you now?
Yes, sir. Now it's clear, sir.
Okay. So next result is third one, A dash. The determinant of the transpose is always equals to determinant of the given matrix. So this is regarding a Hermitian matrix. A bar means conjugate of a matrix. I'll see in case if any problems based on that, if it comes means I'll tell. This A theta means it is what's that? Conjugate of a transpose matrix. This we call it as conjugate of a transpose matrix. Let's see if it comes, any problems comes means we'll discuss. So these are the properties. The value of a determinant remains unaltered if the rows are changed into columns or columns into rows. These results are properties you studied in +2. If you interchanged means, so that is nothing but the determinant of the given matrix will be equals to determinant of the transpose of the matrix. So next, if two rows of a determinants are interchanged, the sign of value of the determinant will change. That is, if it is plus is there means the value will be minus, and if it is minus is there means it will become plus, like that. So just you have to write the opposite sign. So next one, if two rows of a determinant are identical, in case in any matrix if the two rows are identical, then definitely without thinking anything or without thinking in another manner, you can write the value as 0. If two rows or columns of a determinant are identical, then the value of the determinant is 0. So next one, if the element of any row or column of a determinant be each multiplied by same number, then you can multiply the determinant will be multiplied by that scalar. So for example, if whole rows 2, 4, 6 are there means you can take 2 outside and remaining thing you can evaluate. So the same thing that this 4 property says. So next, if each element of a row of a determinant consists of the algebraic sum of n terms, the determinant can be expressed as the sum of n determinant. That is, so first column is sum of this one, a1 plus b1 plus q1, b1, c1. So second row, a2 plus p2 plus q2, b2, c2, a3 plus p3 plus q3, b3, c3. So this one you can write it as sum of those matrices, determinants. So next one, the value of the determinant remains unaltered if to the elements of one row be added by any constant multiple of the corresponding elements of any other row. Whatever you applied, what is that? Elementary row transformations operations while reducing into echelon form like that. So the same based on that only this one. In case if you multiplied by the second column or third column by any constant or scalar and added to any other element, the value of the determinant will not alter, it will be same. So next one, in a determinant, the sum of the products of the elements of any row with the cofactors of the corresponding element of any other row is 0. In case if you multiplied the sum of the products of the elements of any row with the cofactors of the corresponding elements of any other row, then the value of the determinant will be 0. This is the technique. Expand a determinant along that row or column which has maximum number of 0. Then you will get the value of the determinant easily. So this is the criteria for consistency. This is also very important. So only 2 concepts left out. Any doubts in properties? If you don't have doubts means I will explain the next one.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Is it clear? So next one is criterion for consistency. How to check the consistency means if anything, what's that? For a set of simultaneous linear equations, if the solution is existing, then we say that it is consistent. In case if solution is not existing means, then we say that the system of linear equations are inconsistent. So by using a determinant, how we can define how we can check whether the system of linear equations are consistent or inconsistent. So one thing is just you have to check the determinant. So if the determinant is non-zero, then the system is consistent. Without thinking anything, we can say that the system is consistent if it is determinant. If the given matrix system of linear equations matrix determinant is non-zero, then we can say that it is consistent and the solution will be unique. It will be having unique solution and you can use this one, x equals A inverse B result. If you want to find out the solution, almost they will not ask you people to find out the solution. So just what you have to do means just you have to check whether it is solution consistent or inconsistent, how many solutions, unique solution or infinite solutions. That thing you are going to check. So for checking that thing, just you have to check. First thing is it determinant is non-zero? If it is determinant is non-zero means then you can conclude it is consistent and it is having unique solution. So next, in case if it is determinant equals to 0, then there will be two cases. So if it is determinant 0, then you have to check the adjoint of A into B equals to 0. If it is satisfying this condition, then you will say that the system is consistent with infinite number of solutions. In case determinant of A is 0 with adjoint of A into B is non-zero, then system is inconsistent. Inconsistent means there will be no solution. These three concepts, three points you should remember for the point of examination, any competitive exam. This is very important. Even you can do these problems by using rank of a matrix. I will tell that thing also later. So, but based on determinant means these 3 points you should remember. Is it clear? These 3 points. You know how to find out the adjoint of A. Adjoint of A is nothing but what? Transpose of the cofactor of a matrix, right? While finding the inverse of a matrix, you will find out the adjoint of a matrix. Is it clear?
Okay, sir. So
next, last concept for the today's class, inverse of a matrix. So we know that the inverse of the matrix, if you are going to find out the inverse of a matrix means, first it should be non-singular. So anybody, can you let me know what's this non-singular? What it means, non-singular? So because in case if you want to define the inverse of a matrix means, it should be non-singular. Otherwise you can't find out the singular, what's that, inverse of a matrix. When it is non-singular, then only you can find out inverse. Otherwise we can't find out it. Can you guess, at least by seeing that equation, you can guess what is the non-singular matrix, whatever visible on screen. So by seeing that also you can guess when we say that the matrix.
The transpose should be not same, sir.
Yeah, in case if the determinant of A is 0 means we can't define. So it will be indeterminate, right? So this should be non-zero. If it is non-zero, determinant of A is non-zero, then we say that the matrix is non-singular. For all non-singular matrix only we can find out the inverse of a matrix. Otherwise we can't find out the inverse of a matrix. So this is necessary condition. That is whatever I told. To possess inverse matrix means the matrix should be non-singular. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Shall we move on to problem section?
Yes.
Before going to problem section, shall we take for 10 minutes break?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
See the first problem, which of the following statements is true? First one is the diagonal elements of a skew symmetric matrix are 0. The diagonal elements of a matrix are 0. The diagonal elements of a permutation matrix are 0. Permutation matrix means a matrix which is combination of only 0 and 1. That matrix we call it as permutation matrix. Okay, if the entries in the matrix are only 0 and 1, then we call it as permutation matrix. Okay. And option D is all the above. Just once you read the question and tell me answer, which option you will select. This is a simple one and 1 marks question. And even GATE XE, there will be 11 questions will be from mathematics. So out of that 7 questions will be single 1 marks question. And remaining 4 marks will be 2 marks questions. So there will be total 15 marks, 7 plus 8.
All of these.
All of the above.
I guess.
Will you agree? Remaining? Will you agree with this answer? Think once. Who told that answer?
Option A, sir.
Option A. Can you explain why?
The diagonal elements of a skew matrix are 0, sir.
should be 0, must be 0, right? So the
Yes, sir.
diagonal elements of a skew symmetric matrix must be 0. But in symmetric matrix, no need to be 0. It may be 0 sometimes, or it may be non-zero constants also. So that's why, so the second option is not correct. And if you come into third option, the diagonal elements of a permutation matrix are 0, it may be 0 or 1. No need to be 0 exactly. All the principal diagonal no need to be 0 itself, right? So that's why the option A is correct. Understood, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
One. Just go through this problem. Which of the following statements is true? If A is a n cross n matrix, square matrix, then first option is A plus A dash is skew symmetric and A minus A dash is symmetric. Second option is A plus A dash is symmetric and A minus A dash is skew symmetric. Third option is both A plus A dash and A minus A dash are symmetric. Fourth option is A plus A dash and A minus A dash are skew symmetric. So just to think and tell me what is the answer for this one, because you are already, so I explained symmetric matrix definition, skew symmetric matrix definition. Even I told this is very important. Definitely one question will come from this one concept like that I mentioned also. And A dash means that is nothing but transpose of a matrix.
Hello, sir. Your voice is not audible, sir.
So this is the question. You are familiar with now, you know what is the skew symmetric matrix, you know symmetric matrix definition, and A dash will indicate the transpose of a matrix. So they are given A is a some square matrix, then you have to select one of these 4 options. So if you want, I will tell the definition. Symmetric matrix, if ijth position, if it is equals to jth position element, jth position element are same, then we say that symmetric. Skew symmetric means if ijth element, if it is equals to minus of jith position, or in terms of transpose means if A dash equals to A, then it is symmetric. If A dash equals to minus A, then it is skew symmetric matrix. This much is enough. Only definition of symmetric and skew symmetric matrix are enough to answer this question. Anybody?
Option B, sir.
Which one? Option B. How? Because by mistake it's displayed once. If you observe clearly means you would have tell that based on that. But if you are telling the reason also, then I'll come to know you worked out. I will tell option B based on display only. Anybody got the idea? At least are you working on problem? If you are not at all thinking means I will only explain. At least if you are thinking means take time. Anybody got the answer? Guys, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Got the idea? Anybody? Otherwise, I'll explain. So first option is what? You have to consider a plus a dash. Okay. Is it visible, this whiteboard?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So what's the symmetric matrix? Any matrix is said to be symmetric if a dash equals a. Is it right? Definition. If a dash equals a, then it is symmetric. If a dash equals to minus a, then it is skew symmetric matrix. Is it right?
Yes.
So now you have to find out a plus a dash whole dash. You have to find out the a plus a dash whole dash. So based on the result or outcome, you will conclude whether it is symmetric or skew symmetric. So a plus b whole dash is what? A dash plus b dash. Right. So according to that, what we can write this one? A dash plus a dash whole dash. Is it right? All of you understood? I have displayed earlier some properties or results, properties of transpose of a matrix. In that one, a plus b whole dash is a dash plus b dash, ka whole dash is k into a dash, ab whole dash is b dash a dash. Are you remember?
Yes.
Yes. Somebody is asking something. Understood this step? First step?
Yes, sir.
So now a dash whole dash, transpose of a transpose matrix is what?
A, sir.
A itself, right? So we are getting it as a dash plus a. The addition of a matrix is commutative. So that means we can write it as a plus a dash. Can we write it as a plus a dash, right? So we can write it as a plus a dash. What we considered a plus a dash whole dash, which is equals to a plus a dash. So that means, so it's satisfying this condition, a dash equals a. Is it right?
So 1 second, sir.
We considered a plus a dash. So just to consider this one as some single matrix B. Okay. So B is nothing but a plus a dash. What we got? So a plus a dash. That is we get a b dash equals b. Is it right? So in case if you consider b equals a plus a dash. Is it clear now?
Okay, sir.
B dash equals B means what we can conclude? What? So according to this symmetric matrix. Right? It is symmetric matrix. So just to remember, A plus A dash is symmetric. So now you consider A minus A dash. I'll drop this, okay? Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So now I'll consider some matrix C, which is equals to A minus A dash. There will be no confusion if I take another matrix C means. So now we have to check C dash. If C dash equals to C, then it is symmetric. If C dash equals to minus C, then it is skew symmetric, right? So C dash, just to substitute the value of C, that is A minus A dash whole dash, right? So just to apply the property of transpose of a matrix, A dash minus A dash, sorry, whole dash. So once again, A dash means just as it is, you have to write A dash minus A dash whole dash means it will become A. So this one we can write it as minus sign. If you took out means it will become A minus A dash. Is it right? So now in place of A minus A dash, what we can write? C minus C. C dash equals to minus C. Then what is the conclusion?
Sir, A plus A dash, sir.
Not A plus A dash. So here plus sign is there.
No, you took out minus sign outside.
Minus sign if you took outside means, so this will become plus. And here,
Okay, okay, sir. Okay, sir.
right. So we got C dash equals minus C. Then what's the conclusion?
Skew symmetric matrix.
Skew symmetric matrix, right? So that means A plus A dash is symmetric and A minus A dash is skew symmetric. So just I'll open that PPT. So which option is correct now? Just to select the right option.
B, sir.
B is the right answer. A plus A dash is symmetric and A minus A dash is skew symmetric. All of you understood? So like this. So if you remembered all the concepts, then only you can. So there will be no particular methods to solve the problems here. So these are nothing but shortcuts, right? So just you have to consider A plus A dash, you have to find out the transpose of that matrix. If it is equals to A, just by remembering symmetric and skew symmetric definition, you can judge the answer. You can select the right option. All of you understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, shall I move on to next one? The answer
Yes, sir.
is the right option, right? Next one, just to see the definition, question. If the determinant of a matrix A is 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2 is 3, then the determinant of the transpose of a matrix determinant of A transpose is equals to, first option is 6, second option is 9, third option is 2. Fourth option is none of these. In case if the determinant is not matching with any of these three values, 6, 9, 2, and then you can select the none of these options. Just read question once and tell me answer. If you are taking this much time means you are not remembered the results still. I think actually 1.5 hours means I would have explained some what is that concepts. So in next class we would have discussed the problems. Then it will be good. Actually, without remembering results or definition, it will be difficult to solve the problems for you people. Otherwise, I'll send the notes in group. So just to go through that notes, then we can discuss to next week problems. Then it will be good. Because this is so simple question. Am I audible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Anybody getting answer? This is direct question. I think you are finding transpose and then determinant. Is it right?
Yes.
That is not the right method, but it's right method only, but it will take time. So in exam means you have to concern about time also. Within stipulated time, you have to complete the exam. There will be in total, I think some 65 questions will be there in 3 hours. Once if I told the answer means you will think this much easier, this question like that. You will fail.
9, sir.
How much?
9, sir.
9. B option.
1.
Can I explain?
Yes, sir.
Determinant of transpose of a matrix, is it equals to determinant of a matrix? Determinant of a transpose matrix, is it equals to determinant of a matrix? Is it equal or not?
No, sir.
No. I told that result also, the transpose of a matrix, the determinant of the transpose of a matrix will be equals to determinant of the matrix. Nobody remembered that result? Actually, offline classes means you would have gone through your notes by turning your pages. That's the problem now. So the main result, just I will explain. The main result is the determinant of a matrix always equals to determinant of the transpose of a matrix. So here they are given already the determinant of the matrix is 3. Then no need to think anything. So the determinant of transpose of a matrix will be equals to determinant of a matrix. So that means the determinant of a transpose of a matrix also is 3. So here there is no option 3. That's why you have to select the option none of these. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is it simple or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
If you want to find out transpose and then determinant means it will take minimum minimum, even if your speed also it will take minimum 2 minutes. If you remember that result means within fraction of seconds you can select the option. Determinant of a matrix will be determinant of a transpose of a matrix. That's more than enough for this question. Okay, so option D is the right answer. So better I'll discuss problems next week. I'll share the notes in group. So just to go through that groups, I have written only results. So if you remember those results means then you will feel questions, you can analyze the questions. Otherwise it will be difficult for you people. Shall I do that?
Yes, sir.